Welcome to How to Run Profitable Retreats. I am Lainey Cavazos, retreat strategist and host of the show for coaches, entrepreneurs, and transformational leaders who want to design retreats that actually make money. If you've ever put your heart into a retreat only to walk away exhausted or worse, broke, you are not alone. This podcast is here to change that. Each week, I'll bring you stories, strategies, and expert insights to help you create meaningful, transformational retreats that also support your business, your lifestyle, and your bottom line. Let's make your next retreat not just powerful, but profitable. Hello, welcome everyone to another episode of How to Run Profitable Retreats. I am your host, Lainey Cavazos, and I'm super excited to be here with you today. And well, before we go anywhere else, I want to tell you that I have a new profit ebook that I just launched. So if you want to grab your free copy, you can just go to the show notes below and grab your link. And today I'm super excited because I have Brent McCann here with me. And I met Brent 5 months ago. And guess what? He already had his first retreat. Isn't that amazing? So we're going to be talking about his experience with his first retreat. And just so you know a little bit more about him, he's a mindset coach and a men's retreat facilitator who blends 15 years of corporate leadership with deep inner work. And after his career in operations and HR in both entrepreneurial and Fortune 500 environments, Brent now guides men through transformational retreats that reconnect them to clarity, authenticity, and purpose. I mean, his retreats are built in depth and excellence. And I'll go with him and we'll have a little bit of a deeper conversation. So you get to learn a little bit more about what his retreats are all about. And just for all of you who are listening out there, I have to tell you that at the end of 2024, there was this research that came out that was showing the growth trend on actually men attending men's retreats. So if you have ever considered hosting men retreats for your clients, I would say now is better than later. And I always ask people to take action when it comes to your dreams and your desires and your passions. So if you want to be hosting retreats, you should be doing it. There's an audience for you out there and you deserve to be heard and to be seen. Brent, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Lainey. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes. So we're going to be talking about your first retreat. Tell us a little bit about, how did you come up with the idea of like hosting a retreat first to begin with? I know you're a mindset coach and you've been in corporate, but what was the driver that took you there?
That's a great question. The short answer is that it came to me in a meditation. All right.
Okay.
The long answer is that I had been on this journey for the last several years and really began to recognize that men oftentimes don't really feel like they are safe and they don't feel like they do have that ability to explore themselves and to gain a deeper understanding of where they're going and why they're going that way. And, the real passion, the real drive for me was to create a space where, men are at a crossroad where maybe they have had some success, they've achieved something in their lives, but even after achieving that flare of joy from achieving it has worn off, and they're left wondering, what's more, what's left beyond this, and for me, I had that. I'd had some success. I had achieved goals that I had planned out, and I was I was married at the time. I had a son. I was having corporate success. I had sold my first real estate investment property. I had all these things going, and yet I still felt a little bit empty inside. And I was really curious about that. And I thought, well, if I'm feeling that, there must be others that are feeling that too. And so that was really the inspiration behind this was, to love and to expand and give awareness to men who don't typically give themselves time or space to explore and to understand themselves at a deeper level to find fulfillment in their lives.
I love this. Yeah, and I do have to say, like I'm not a man, so I cannot compare. But the feeling of being like alone or that no one else can like understand what you're going through can be very deep. And
Mhm.
I don't know, like for me, I want to say in this space also like how do like like I don't know, I find it a little bit, and I guess this is like a topic that is complex because we're talking about different, like, brains, right? Like women are from Venus,
Sure.
men are from Mars and whatnot. But
Hmm.
as I see it very often out there, is men usually don't go on and say, hey, I feel a little bit empty, I feel a little bit alone, I don't feel safe.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, it's really, we'll talk about news, weather, and sports, but if I want to talk about like how unhappy I am about something in my life or wanting to feel more love or even to be seen, it's like it's a faux pas. It's a no-no. We're not allowed to do that. And that was really the drive is that, instead of having to be this presumptuous, like I'm macho and I'm tough and I have this hard exterior, let's peel back the layers, right? Like, let's do what Shrek said, right? Like, ogres have layers, right? So do men. So that we all do. But, in this case, let's look at the men and peel back some of the layers, get really curious and seek to find out what's on the other side. And we really found out what was on the other side. That's the best part.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. Like we've been talking behind the scenes about the success of your retreat and how actually the men who came they want the 2.0 version of it. Isn't that amazing?
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's, I think there's so much fear going into creating something that's never been created for ourselves. And, in this situation, building something out of nothing, I guess I'll make another movie reference here. It's kind of like the Field of Dreams, right? Like I'm Kevin Costner, I'm building this retreat. I'm trying I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know who I'm going to reach out to. I didn't have an Instagram that was active, like I didn't have any of these things, right? And through that process, becoming aware of more of myself, but then also realizing that, like, it's almost like that it was a vibrational match. Like, these guys liked it so much that they want more, right? And I liked it so much that I want to give more. So it's this perfect cocktail of like, now we have endless opportunities in front of us, and now we get to explore that. It's really exciting.
Something that you brought up, well, you brought many things that are very, very important here in the conversation, but something that I think everyone who's listening to this episode should really be thinking, like, if you heard something, like Brent didn't have an active Instagram account, and he still had made his retreat happen, and he got people to sign up. So a lot of times we give ourselves like our own barriers, right? They stop us from actually achieving what we desire, and it's on us. But when we really want something, you can actually make it happen, regardless of not having 100,000 followers on Instagram. And it's because of this desire to serve people. And that comes for the next part that you mentioned, right? Like they want more, and then you want to give them more. And it just becomes a beautiful masterpiece.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And you know, even with trying to explore Instagram, right? Like I don't like just so everyone listening, I have like 180 followers. That's it, right? Like I don't have a ton of people. And but what it comes down to is the value and being willing to explore in unknown territory in a way that I could still love myself. Like, listen, if I was talking to you in February or March, right now it's June, end of June, I was not in a good spot. I'm sitting there going like, I don't know what I'm doing. This feels totally foreign. I think I should stay at my corporate job. I don't think I should do this, And but pushing through it and recognizing, and getting rid of the excuses, kind of like what you were saying, right? Like I would look and I'd say, well, the people on your show, they can do these amazing retreats because they've got the portfolio and they've got the history of it and they've got this and that. And I don't have that. Like I'm literally a dude that got done with a meditation and I was like, I think this is what I should do. And I'm willing to find out if I can do it. Like, so being being able to confront my own insecurities, knowing that it's for a greater cause. It's bigger than myself. I mean, I had a call with my one-on-one coach, and I wanted to give up. And she looked at me, and this is like I already had people signed up. I wanted to give up afterwards. I'm still like, I don't have enough. It's not going to be this. And the best thing that she said to me, she said, Brent, it's bigger than you now. You owe it to them. It doesn't matter what happens, you owe it to them. And that alone, that moment was such a monumental moment to understand that, like, the passion that I had 6 months ago it was bigger than me. And that's what drove me. That's what inspired me to continue to push on, to make mistakes, to spend too much in one area on advertising and to lose potential customers, to get face to face with my own insecurities. But it's because it's bigger than me. And I've got these six amazing souls now that I get to interact with almost every day on our WhatsApp community that confirm to me that it was bigger than me. And for me, there's no greater joy.
Oh, I love this. I think this is so important for everyone who's listening. Like, and I invite everyone who is listening to this, ask them, like, how does this apply to me? Don't just take the story for granted and be like, oh, but ask yourself, are you actually being bold? Are you actually being brave with your business? Are you actually taking actions? Are you hiding? Because Abraham Hicks, right, like says that you have a moral obligation to serve as many people as possible. So when we think about it in this space, we need to understand that it is bigger than us. And don't get me wrong, I will never stop talking about how retreats need to be a profitable business. Okay.
Hmm.
So it is about serving, but being profitable actually helps you serve, because if you're not profitable, you cannot serve anymore. So it all works together, right? It's a magical recipe. But really
Hmm.
think for everyone who's in here listening to this episode today, be like, where am I playing it small? Where am
Yeah.
I thinking it's just about me and it's not about everything else and the impact that I have in other people's lives?
Mhm. It reminds me, I was listening to this guy. His name is David Guillaume, and he's at any rate, he had this teaching, and he said, if I were to ask you to go up in front of 10,000 people today and present on a topic, and I'm going to tell you that topic that you have to present on, how would you feel? And everyone raises their hands and they go, I would feel nervous. I would be afraid. I would not know what to do. I wouldn't want to do it. He said, okay. Now, let's pretend you have to go up to those same people and you say, and I told you to tell them, look under your chair. And under your chair, you're going to find a check made out to you for $5,000. How would you feel? And they go, oh, I'd love to do that. Like, yeah, I'll come up, I'll do that. And he said, the difference is when in the first scenario, you're looking to take energy from them. You're afraid of what they're thinking of you. Whereas with the second scenario, you're giving to them. And because you're giving to them, you're actually inspired to do it. And
Mm.
I think a lot about that because that's the reminder of like, am I looking to give or am I looking to take? And in that energy space, when we come from a place of giving, right? And even, you can still give and be, like you said, be profitable, right? It's still a business. But at the same point, if you're still giving, at that like you're going to actually attract even more because of it. It's an amazing gift. So yeah, it just really reminded me of that story and just the perspective that we can take, especially as retreat leaders or even just in our everyday lives.
Yeah, and this is such a good story. I love it. It's very, very good. And it really does it's a great way on explaining how when we're showing up from a place of sharing our knowledge, sharing who we are, it shifts the energy, right?
Mhm,
And
mhm.
it's always like, and the reason, like, and I'll go a little bit deeper for everyone listening here about like, the profitability. For me, it's all about from not showing from an empty cup, right? So if you show up to your retreat and you're thinking about how you're going to be paying rent and your mortgage or school for your kids or whatever, you're not fully really giving. You cannot serve people fully if your mind is elsewhere. That's why you need to take care of yourself first, right? You need to make sure that you're good so you can show up in this vast version of yourself. So you can actually help them get this transformation. And I remember, Brent, you were telling me like how like there was massive transformation in things like zip lining for your retreat. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, every day we would have an offsite activity. So we stayed at this like boutique hotel and so to switch it up, we'd go offsite. And on the first day, everyone's here, so now we're gonna go for a grounding walk. We just went outside and we were in Sedona, Arizona, so it was really easy, really beautiful to get connected. And on the second day, we started off with zip lines. And, and always tying it back into like, what's the teaching, right? So what did we talk about the day before? We did a breath work. We learned a little bit more about our nervous system, how to regulate, and then the afternoon on the second day, we were going to talk about, okay, when challenges happen, what do we do and how do we overcome them, right? So the zip lines fit in perfectly. And listen, I am not a fan of heights. You can ask anybody. But we all load up, and we're walking up. It was like 120 stairs, right? So we're 60 feet up, whatever it was, and it's wood, right? So the wood is like as you're walking, the thing is shifting back and forth, and I remember being like, "Oh my God, what's happening?" You know?
Why did I put this in the itinerary?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And I'm like, I'm the retreat leader. Like, I got to be strong. But I'm like, no, I'm practicing authenticity too. I'll let them, know. And so, long story short, we get up to the top of the first tower, and I'll never forget this guy. His name is Jason, and I was last to go. Jason went before me, and he was really scared. Like, and I just like to the point where like he's like bucking to go. Like he's like, okay, we're gonna go. No, we're not. And and then he does it, right? And I'm pumped. And so then it's my turn. I get to the other side, and I look, and Jason's just standing there on the second tower. And when I say standing there, literally, like the lights are on, no one's home. I'm trying to talk to him. He's not responding. It's okay. I look down, right, and I see he's starting to sway a little bit. I'm like, okay, this is you'll be okay. So I get up beside him, and I just said to him, I go, Jason, everything that your body is experiencing right now is totally normal. It's everything. You just did something that you never thought you'd do, and it's okay to feel exactly how you're feeling right now. But I'm going to ask you to remember how we talked about the breath work yesterday. So why don't you take some breaths with me? And so we started taking some gentle breaths in and slower breaths out. And then this beautiful moment happened where the other guys came around and they started to support him too. And they started to take, not overwhelming him, but just gentle, loving, holding space, right? And this went on for maybe 30 seconds. And all of a sudden, Jason snaps out of it. And he looks at me and he goes, okay, I'm ready to go. That was a lot, but now I'm ready to go. Let's keep going now, right? And and this guy who in the beginning of the retreat wouldn't even look at anybody. Every time he talked, he was looking away. At the end of the retreat, he was the guy that was flagging people down at the restaurant, being like, "Hey, hey, hey, we need this, we need that." Like he was just, he totally shifted, and it was in a safe container. It was in, and that's just one. Like there were three other guys that had others that had breakthroughs just by this hour and a half of being on a zip line, and it was just so powerful. It really showed me how brave we actually are and how courageous we are when we know that what we're doing today, we want to change. We want to get to that other side. We want to expand ourselves and we want to grow. And if we're willing to do that, right, zip line from 60 feet up in the air into an unknown to find out what it feels like, then I don't think there's anything else that can stop us. So it was really just a powerful exercise that I never like. Honestly, I had friends that were like, "Why are you doing zip lines? You're just doing that to hang out." And I'm like, "No, like there's a reason for it." And now I see it, and I'm like, every retreat going forward, we're doing something like this. We have to.
Something that has the edge.
Yes, exactly.
I love that. I got goosebumps, and it really reminded me of like why we host retreats.
Hmm.
So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. It really reminded me, like because it's about these subtle changes. Like one action can change your life forever,
Hmm. Yeah.
you
And
know? And then if you're intentional about it, it's even faster, it's better, it just goes deeper.
yes, yes. And I
So
think the other piece is creating that community, right? Like it was this organic opportunity. And I think that that's what I love about retreats. Like, I don't care if it's men, women, anybody and everybody, but there's this sense of community. And when you can really create that community, that container, that dojo, and people can honor it, that's when like it's not the words that I speak or somebody else, it's the fact that the community can receive that and support one another in that even further. That's where I saw that the most transition or the most transformation takes place.
I think this is absolutely amazing, Brent, because we tend to forget. right? Because, you know, promoting a retreat and doing marketing, let's be honest, it's not as easy as, you know, like I always tell people, if you're faint of heart, like just go do online courses.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a reality, right? It's like it comes with so many other layers, but it's just so much powerful than anything else. So it's worth doing. But I am sure you had like some learning opportunities here, and like I'm sure people would like, you know, because we get to see always like the good, like, oh, I sold out my retreat, I made this, I made that. But there's always these little subtle learnings that I think they're so important for us to also see ourselves in that space, right? So for anyone who's listening to this and they're like thinking, oh, maybe I want to be hosting my first retreat, or maybe when I host another retreat, even though the first one didn't go as well as I did, what would be the things that you would tell them? Like, hey, like, you know, give yourself a break. These
Yeah. Absolutely. I think the first thing is how we advertise. You know, I I spent I have a larger following on LinkedIn than I do on Instagram, and I thought, oh, that would be the market to go into, and it's far more expensive than Instagram is, and I had zero ROI on it. Right, so that was like my first key takeaway is, you know, Instagram is good, and Instagram is really good because you can zero in more on demographics and backgrounds and interests and things like that, um, and for a lot cheaper. So that was the first one. I think the other one that I really looked at was, I sent a post-retreat survey out to everybody, and thankfully they all completed it and really wanted to know like what is it that they really liked, and more or less what could they do without next time, right? And so for me, what they really liked was they liked the dinners because we always went out to nice restaurants afterwards. They liked to do the zip lines, and they liked the teachings and going out on walks, right? So, well, one of the activities that we did cost me like $1,700, and well, overall was $1,700, and they not one person mentioned how fun that was, right? So like I'm like, okay, so as I'm building into my second retreat now, I'm looking at what are the must-haves, right? So I kind of categorize them into what are the things that I must have. What are the things that are nice to haves? And then what are the things that I don't really need at all? And from that, I've been able to, like, because I'm a numbers guy, right? I've got the spreadsheet, I look at all those things. So now I've been able to say, okay, like as I build the second retreat, I don't need to have, like, I thought about horseback riding for my second retreat. And I thought, okay, like you could tie that into something, but like that's going to be, $1,500, $1,700 depending on how many people show up, but it's not really going to hit the home run that I'm looking for. Whereas maybe taking a gentle walk or having some different opportunities, that are. So I think from that lens, kind of when I look at it from the future, now I'm like, okay, now I know, right? The other thing is I underpriced my first retreat because I did have a sense of disbelief. I didn't believe that I could charge as much as I could charge. And for those that are interested, like I was charging around $3,000 for 4 days, all inclusive. And as I'm driving, like, because I was the chauffeur too, if we're at the retreats, we're driving to lunch and I'm sorry, to dinner. One of the nights I was like, this is like a $5,000 retreat. And it took me to see that, to see how the guys were responding, to see that the places we're going are very nice and they're showing that it's worth that. So as I build into my second retreat now I'm like, okay, now I know how I want to price this because I know that, I could have done it a little bit more, but now that I know what its actual value it's going to bring, and I know how to communicate that value out, now I'm good with setting it at a higher price for the next point.
I love this. Yes. And I always talk about it is like, you don't want to be talking into the space of like, I'm just putting the price because everyone is pricing it at 3,000. That's what people will pay for. Right. It's more into the space of what is the value, like the actual value, and what is the perceived value of the person who's showing up to the retreat. Right.
Yeah.
So we go deeper into the space of understanding it really like a business, right? Like what is, like if I go and like, we had this conversation about like me working at Marriott for many, many years. And before I even worked at the corporate office, I was working at the Ritz-Carlton. And the reason people paid $300 to $500 to $1,000, depending on the time of the year, to stay at the Ritz-Carlton was because staying at the Ritz-Carlton is an experience, right? People
Yes.
know your name. I had to learn the name of like the 300 guests, right? Like I used to sometimes be the hostess at the breakfast restaurant, and I would have to welcome them by name and remember them the next day, right? The first day I did not need to know their names, but the next day I need to remember them, who they were.
Hmm.
All these little details. It's about the personal care. And that's why people pay all that money rather than if they go and stay at a Days Inn, right? Where you get your, I've stayed at the Days Inn, so you get your mixture to make your own pancakes and whatnot, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So it's about the value and the perceived value of the people going to that space and the transformation that happens inside of it, right? How many years
Exactly.
can you save of your life? Like Jason, how much can he save from the space of right
Hmm.
now being
Yeah.
like talk to people?
Right, right. I mean, what we're doing as retreat facilitators and leaders is we're collapsing the wave. We're shortening the distance between where the person's trying to go and actually arriving there. And when we can shorten that distance, I'm telling you, like, I'm going to a retreat in November. It's going to cost me like $8,000, but I know it's going to shorten the distance. And so I'm willing to pay. So because that person they built the recipe, they walked through it. So I'm going to pay for it's no different than like, when somebody says, "Oh, I don't want to pay the $10,000 to get my roof done." Yeah, well, yeah, maybe it takes them a day, but what you're getting out of it is the experience. You're getting the like you're paying for the fact that these people have experience in it. We as retreat leaders, we have the experience. We can collapse that wave. We can help you to achieve the goal of what you're trying like, and we can do it in a matter of like less than a week. Like that's a big deal, especially when you're hungry enough for it, right? The appetite's got to be there as the attendee. And I think this is where, one of the best things that I learned from doing this retreat is I interviewed basically everybody. Like we always had like a one-on-one call and made sure that it was aligned. And if it wasn't aligned, obviously I'm not going to tell them they can't come, but I will tell them, listen, if you're going to spend this kind of money and you're looking for this as an outcome, I don't think this retreat's really going to be that space. And I actually turned down somebody because of that. I didn't turn, but you know what I mean? I told them that I couldn't have them come forward because of that. And and yeah, like, but again, you have to remember it's bigger than us. It's the container. It's thinking about, we're going to add value. We're going to shorten that distance for them, and that community is a part of that value too. So, yeah, it's really powerful when we think about the opportunity that we have and the value that it brings. I mean, I think I've heard you mention before too, like, and maybe it was on, I think it was just the most recent episode where like a divorce cost $250,000 in LA, right?
Yeah.
But if I pay $25,000 to go on a couples retreat or what have you, I'll do that over 250 grand. You know what I mean? So it's
Right.
that value proposition. It's so big. It's a big, big part.
Yeah, and I love that you brought this up because it is for me something that is very, very important in this space of uh, people really realizing the power of retreats.
Mhm.
Sometimes we don't give it the value that they deserve. Or we're like, oh, it's just another yoga retreat. I'm gonna go stretch and do things and go for a hike. But it's like even like because I attend a lot of retreats, but like even going into a yoga retreat can be a huge, deeply transformational experience if you go
Mhm.
with an intention, right? If you have this intention of like something has to shift, because it's the matter of fact of getting in the room with people who are like-minded with you, right? It's about
Mhm.
getting a seat on the table. It's about going to a place that is not your norm. It's not your office. It's not your house. It's getting yourself out of that. Let's call it matrix for a second, right? It's getting yourself out of there and into a new environment and see how you react, what works, what doesn't work. How can you show up in a better way? And it just makes such a huge difference in people's lives. Like, I mean, I could be teaching people loyalty marketing, just loyalty marketing and loyalty marketing for anything and everywhere. But I choose to do it through retreats because I truly believe that these in real life experiences
Mhm.
are so needed out there.
Absolutely.
There we are. Oh my gosh, Brett, this has been absolutely amazing. I mean, like, let's just like do a little bit of a recap here of like everything that you have already shared. First of all, like, your lessons are super powerful in the space of like, look at what can be accomplished in a couple of days.
Mhm.
The transformation, like, and some might think, oh, like let's do zip lining for fun. But there is this piece of taking action, of getting yourself out of your comfort zone, that can be achieved by zip lining or bull riding. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
the activity can shift, but the intentionality of what you put together, I think, is it's like super, super powerful. At the same time, I think, learning where your audience is, and like, spending your money and ads in the right place. I hear you. I am always testing ads in different platforms just for the sake of it. Like, as someone in marketing, I cannot help myself. And I do have to agree, ads in LinkedIn are a lot more expensive, and usually they don't wield the same results. I think ads for LinkedIn can work for something different, not for retreats.
Yep.
I mean, if someone hasn't done it and whatnot, send me an email. I want
Yeah,
to
me
hear.
too.
I definitely want to hear about it. And yeah, and understanding the value of your retreat and the pricing, right? And yeah, sometimes we do have to go through the process of doing the first one where we figure out, well, maybe it could have been better. But there's also the option of just learning that beforehand, right? And that's, what else I love to help people with. So anyway, if anyone is interested on that, you can always send me an email. I reply to my own emails because I want to get to know all of you. But anyway, before we go there, I think, Brent, what you brought here to this conversation is extremely, extremely powerful, from the space of really understanding how this is bigger than you. I think if I take something away with me, is that.
Hmm. Yeah, it is. It really is. I mean, we get into this because we have a passion for people, and recognizing that, you know, not just retreats either. Like, let's take it a step. Like, the things we do in our lives at times are really bigger than us. And when we come from that place of love, and we come from that place of truly giving, right? Like, as if you're going to give somebody $5,000, underneath the chair that they're living, or I'm sorry, that they were sitting at, right? When we can do that and realize that, that really brings more power, and brings more connection to our future. And it, right, it's almost like there's that responsibility. So I know we already talked about it. I won't belabor it more, but when we realize that the things we do are bigger than us, it also inspires us. And when we're inspired, there's no mountain that can get in our way.
I love this, Brent. Thank you so much for being here. And if people want to reach out to you and check out, your awesome retreats and where you're up to, where is the best place for them to find you?
Absolutely. So find me on Instagram. It is Real Brent McCann. So that's RealBrentMcCann.
Perfect. So anyway, everyone will have the link in the show notes so you can go and, follow Brent. Let's, make it an effort so he gets more followers over and over so he can share his message with the world. Brent, thank you so much for being here. And for anyone who's listening to these episodes, if you like it, just follow us so you can get more information about retreats, how you can run it, and we get to more people who really need this message out there. Thank you. And see you next
Thank
week.
you, Lenny.